by eating superfoods, you have more energy, you're more alert, your brain works better, you're more innovative, your ideas come quicker, your wit is sharper. I'm talking about food that actually has the most extraordinary content of vitamins, minerals, polysaccharides, amino acids, protein, and it's all plant-based, easy to eat, in fact, tastes good, and provides extraordinary nutrition. What comes to mind is the goji berry. The goji berry grows in a region of the world right through the foothills of the Himalayas, right through China into Mongolia, all the way into the Americas, through the desert regions of the Americas. And I have been out there picking wild goji berries when it was 125 degrees Fahrenheit out. That's how intense that desert is, and there is a plant right there that can feed you. Turns out goji berry is the #1 thing in Chinese medicine. The #1 thing, the #1 food, herb, whatever. And it itself, the genus was named Lyceum, Lyceum. What does that mean? It means school of learning, because the Taoist mythology around the goji berry is that by eating it, it teaches you all the other aspects of the Chinese medicinal system. What a concept. I mean, just this idea that we could learn something from a plant. This is the power of a superfood. What about maca? Maca is one of the great foods that comes from South America, in the Andes Mountains. It's the highest altitude crop in the world. It's in the radish, broccoli, cauliflower, brassica family. It's one of the most invigorating endocrine supporting foods in the world. It contains over 20 fatty acids, so it's a kind of an oily root vegetable, very unique in the world. It also contains an enormous amount of amino acids, 20 different amino acids, by the way, and an array of unique minerals like sulfur. And one of the most important things, though, is that all these things together modulate our endocrine system. So that if our endocrine system's a little worn down, let's say our vitality's down, we no longer have the reproductive power, boom, suddenly we have the reproductive power. What about marine phytoplankton? I mean, this is the work of Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Cousteau essentially was the guy who brought to the world the knowledge that the entire ecosystem of the world is dependent on marine phytoplankton. That they are really the producers of oxygen in the atmosphere. They produce sulfur in the rain that then goes around the planet and gets into the trees and creates the pliability and the flexibility of all the plants and trees in the world. They are the producers of the proteins that feed the most incredible animals in this world, which is very likely the whales. You know, the whales produce the biggest nervous system in the world of any organism, and yet their food is just this small, tiny little microorganism, a micro-algae called marine phytoplankton. And that the oils that create the nervous system, the omega-3 fatty acids, the DHA, the EPA, these are found in marine phytoplankton first. So the cod liver oil that comes way down the chain, where did it get its omega-3 fatty acids in its liver from? It got it from marine phytoplankton. Where does the whale get all its essential fatty acids from? It gets it from the marine phytoplankton. It is food. It is the very meaning of food. Now, a bunch of scientists got together and thought, well, okay, this all makes sense. Why don't we just start feeding people marine phytoplankton? In fact, let's find the best phytoplankton for human consumption, and started experimenting with bringing marine phytoplankton into human consumption. And here's what was found. Marine phytoplankton is very likely the most nutritious food in the world for anybody, including us. It contains every known mineral in it. Everything that's needed to support life is present in marine phytoplankton. It contains the essential fatty acids. It contains all amino acids. It's a complete protein source. It is probably the richest source of chlorophyll going. I mean, it's the basis of all chlorophyll. What's going on in those oceans is that plankton's converting through the sunlight hitting that ocean. It's converting it into sugars, also present in marine phytoplankton. There's another thing that's very powerful here, and that is marine phytoplankton contains ATP and GDP and ADP and all of the nucleotides that are actually the energy currencies of our cells. When we eat something, we don't just go like, okay, this protein, fat, carbohydrate is suddenly just energy. No, it actually has to go all the way down, broken down to the cellular level, and then each cell has to go, okay, I have to take that protein, that carbohydrate, that fat, and I have to convert it into ATP. I have to change it into an energy currency that we understand at the cellular level. Well, that energy currency is already present in marine phytoplankton. Therefore, here's the effect. You take in the marine phytoplankton and you have instant energy. Your body doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to do a currency exchange. So the effect of that is you have instant energy and no stimulation. That's ridiculously powerful. It means that you can have an upping of energy at the cellular level through every cell in your body, but you don't have any stimulation, meaning there's no crash later. We had been so programmed in the past to believe that if we have an up, then we have to have a down. That's a bunch of garbage. That's exactly true if you're eating like chemicals and cardboard, soggy cardboard or whatever. I don't even know what people are eating anymore. I think it's some kind of cross between chemicals, soggy cardboard, and some kind of factory farmed, hormone-laden, cancerous growth of some sort. That's pretty much like dinner. And once you're off that, it's like you can actually get higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and it just keeps going and going and going, and there is no down because it's not a drug, it's actually a food. Marine phytoplankton to me represents probably the biggest innovation in the superfood field in the last 10 years, because it's something that if we wipe out marine phytoplankton out of the ocean, that we've wiped, all life is gone. So it will never be gone. If life is here, marine phytoplankton will be in that ocean. There's more marine phytoplankton producing oxygen than all the trees on the earth combined, times about 10. So all the force of the world, the amount of oxygen that they're producing is somewhere around 10% of the oxygen in the atmosphere. The rest of it comes from marine phytoplankton. We can't actually fish it out. It is food. It's the food of the earth. And therefore, that's probably going to be one of the bigger waves of the future. What about chocolate? The raw cacao bean. This is one of my favorite little children in the world right now. And this little food right here, which is the food that all chocolate is made out of. In fact, I can peel it. You can see the chocolate right on the inside. This food, here's the chocolate on the inside, is probably the most chemically complex food in the world. It is definitely the most chemically complex food that's ever been studied in the world. Over 1,200 constituents of flavor alone. The next highest would be like royal jelly with 300 or 400 constituents in it. This is the highest antioxidant food in the world. It blows away red wine and green tea. I mean, they're not even in the same category as cacao. We're talking orders of magnitude greater, meaning cacao is somewhere around 10, 15, 20 times greater in antioxidants than green tea, 30 times higher than red wine, 15 times higher than blueberries. And that's how powerful it is. This is the food that all those studies about chocolate is pointing at, right? It's not some kind of sugar in there. It's not some kind of dairy product came from some factory farm cow. It's actually this, the nut that all chocolate is made out of. In fact, this is the most widely eaten nut in the world that nobody eats. It's all processed, massively cooked, roasted, toasted, microwaved, heat destroyed, hexane extracted in huge factories. And what we did, our work, has taken that, removed that entire industry and said, sorry, no, we're flushing you down the toilet. Flush that whole thing down the toilet, and now we're going right back to the original food in its raw, natural state, the way that the Native Americans ate it for thousands of years. The antioxidant content, what about the vitamin C content of that food right there? There's nothing that rivals this in vitamin C in the entire seed and nut world, and it's one of the highest vitamin C containing foods of any food in the world. All processed chocolate contains no vitamin C because it's all destroyed by heat. Then we go into the mineral content of cacao. Cacao, the raw chocolate nut, is the highest natural source of magnesium, chromium, and iron. It's extremely high in zinc and copper and manganese. These are some of the most deficient minerals in our world. There is so much magnesium, copper, iron, and chromium in cacao that actually has therapeutic levels, meaning it's like a mineral supplement. There are very few foods in the world that are actually mineral supplements, but cacao is one of them. Now, beyond that, what about the brain chemicals that are in cacao? The bliss chemicals, anandamide. That's a chemical that only exists in human metabolism, except one plant has it, and it's cacao. What does that do? It makes you feel great. It's like an endorphin. You feel like you just did a big workout. Once you cook those phenethylamines, it's a natural kind of amino acid that's in cacao, you destroy most of the different frequencies of the phenethylamines. Now, if you recall, there was a lot of research recently about these phenethylamines being related to falling in love. These are the chemicals of falling in love that are in chocolate. But all cooked chocolate is most of it's gone. It's been evaporated, broken down, chemically changed by heat. But raw cacao has all of it still totally intact. All of the love chemicals are still there. How about that? And it goes on. What about the theobromine? The theobromine dilates all your capillaries, so whatever you eat chocolate with is absorbed deeper into your system than any other way you could eat it. Let's say you like herbs. Let's say you need herbs for your own healing. Well, you don't want to just be taking a bunch of dry herbs and just guzzling it down with water, because your body goes, oh, I don't know really what to do with this. In talking to some of the great herbalists of the world, I've found a very strong commonality that they all believe that herbs are best absorbed when they're consumed as foods. And what's the best delivery mechanism in the form of a food? Cacao. You take some cacao, you crush it down with your herbs, you mix it up with a little bit of water, you down it that way, and then you got a nice little chocolate drink, or even a hot chocolate. You can just put a little warm tea in there, blend it all down, and drink it, and then you're saving yourself while having the best day ever too. If we keep going down the road on superfoods, when we can look at things like noni and aloe vera. I mean, noni is just this tree and this plant, it grows straight on a lava field. I mean, there's no soil. It's a fruit tree. It's so potent and powerful. What is in that stuff? The polysaccharide fraction, the ormus elements that are in the polysaccharide fraction of the noni is the highest in the world of any plant. So we've seen that some of these super medicinal things, like the medicinal mushrooms, like the goji berry, like aloe vera, have a fraction of what we call polysaccharides. And this is influencing the immune system. And noni has the highest of any plant.